friends. Today we are going to take what we know about base 10 and connect it to numbers, decimals, and money. We've worked with money since second grade, and today we're going to look at how to represent amounts of money with decimals and fractions. We're also going to explore how base 10 and money are connected. So let's do that by jumping into this problem. Together, Julie and Sarah have $1 in quarters. They want to share the quarters equally. How many quarters should each girl get, and how much money is this? We've got this quick visual here to help us remember the values of different coins. So we see that $1 is equivalent to 100 cents. A quarter is 25 cents, 1 dime is 10 cents, and 1 penny is 1 cent. So since we know $1 is a whole, what fraction could we use to express that amount? If you said 100 100ths or 100 out of 100, you would be correct. Any amount that's less than one whole dollar can then be written as a decimal or a fraction. So let's use a model to help us think about this problem and relate our fractions and decimals. We know that 4 quarters is equivalent to $1. So I have 4 quarters here. If you didn't have quarters, you could also just draw a circle and put a Q in it to label it as a quarter. So I have 4 quarters here, which I know equals $1. I know that 1 quarter is 25 cents. Or I could also say that it is 25 out of 100 cents, right? That I also know can be reduced to 1/4. So there's 3 different ways that I can represent this amount of money, 1 quarter, in a decimal or in fractions. Let's think about then if we had 2 quarters. If Julie and Sarah are splitting these 4 quarters equally, each girl will get 2. And so if we have 2 quarters then, we know that 2 quarters would be 50 100ths or half of a dollar. And we know that we could write that either as these fractions, or we could write that as 50 cents with a decimal. If you were looking to write that with the actual word sense, we would just say 50 cents. We wouldn't need that decimal in there because that would be showing that it's part of a cent, but it's not. We have 50 cents, right? So we could write that in 2 different ways. So we know that if the girls were splitting these quarters equally, that each girl should get 2 quarters and that total amount of that would be 50 cents. Let's continue on by thinking about how we can relate money to decimals. So we're going to start out by remembering that our monetary system, right, our system that we use for our money is a base 10 system, just like place value. So when you're thinking about working with dollars and dimes and pennies, keep this in mind. So let's start by looking at $1. We know that $1 is 1 whole in our system, right? So $1 would be equivalent to this whole hundreds grid being shaded. That tells us that $1 is equivalent to 100 cents. As we think about dimes, we know that there are 10 dimes in a dollar, right? So we have our 10 dimes here. So we know that 1 dime is 1/10 of a dollar. So we can write that as 1/10 of a dollar, or 10 cents. Then let's think about pennies. As we move to pennies, we know that there are 100 pennies in $1. I have 100 pennies here. I have 10 in each stack, and there are 10 stacks, so that gives me 100 pennies. So I know that 1 penny is 1/100th of a dollar. 1 penny is 1/100th of a dollar. So that tells me that if I want to write that as a decimal, I know that I need to have 1 in my hundredths place and nothing else. So I know that's 1/100th or 1 cent. So just like our place value position is a base 10 system, our money is a base 10 system as well when we're thinking about dollars, dimes, and pennies.